But I am leaving my son more dangerous than the one that I was given. Because we are raising a brown boy in America. But I am leaving my son a world that is more dangerous than the one that I was given. Because we are raising a brown boy.
While people are gathering in, let me remind you on behalf of the young people that there is a brunch right after the service. And I'm told if you haven't registered for the brunch that there probably will be room until they run out of food. So it'll be a first come, first serve. If you haven't registered, get in the front of the line. And the cost, yes, this is a fundraiser so that these young people can go to the General Assembly this year in Baltimore. And so there is a sliding scale if you will make a donation somewhere between $5 and $20. With the cost of eggs, they want to make it a fundraiser and not a fund loser. So if you will participate in both ways, that will be great. I'm Don Retzer, and I'm the most senior member of your board. That's about as much description as I need to say, because I look the part. I was looking back through some of the scripts that the board members have used over the years for this greeting time, and there was one line in one of them that I think Larry Kruger has used a number of times, and it's, "Every Sunday morning, we gather together as an act of rebellion." Well, I like that one. Really, an act of rebellion. And it sort of feels right. It kind of energizes my anger and my resistance. And in these times, it seems like kind of the thing to be is a rebel. But then I think, how pathetic is it that rebellion is the fact that we gather together with ethical people looking for making the common good. How radical is that? How can that be radical tonight and today in this day and time? But it is, isn't it? As we gather and look at each other, and we'll be greeting each other in just a moment, we say everybody's welcome. If you can make it in the door, or even if you can't, you're welcome here. We take everybody, no matter how you describe yourself. And we listen to every voice. And we try to make sure that your sense of self is recognized and celebrated. That's rebellion. And the fact is that we are a generous community. And we promote justice. And we root out racism. And in this day and time, that's rebellion. How odd. And yet that's us, isn't it? We're in this time, and we find ourselves in a place of being the rebels. I pull back to that place of scripture from the Lord of the Rings. Frodo, you remember he's the little dwarfish guy with great big feet, says, "I wish it had not happened in my time." And then Gandalf, the great wizard with his white robe and his long white beard, says, "So do I, and so do all who live in such times." But it's not for us to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that we are given. Welcome.
Amen. Y'all can go home now. That's it. Good morning. And welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. I am Reverend Anna Tulu. I serve as one of your ministers here at First UU, and I use both she and they pronouns. I am a middle-aged white woman with pale skin and freckles, blue eyes, and long wavy hair. I am wearing a stole that is patchwork with earth tones, an olive green shirt, and a red mala. This morning, we are joined in worship by the UU singers, which I am very happy about. under the leadership of Jamie Kilpatrick. And Jim Cregan and Eric Bowers are helping us in AV. Thank you. Now, it's our custom each Sunday to greet newcomers by passing the mic. So Jamie is our minister of the mic this morning. If you are new, please feel free to raise a hand and share who you are and where you come from.
Good morning. Mind passing it? Hi, I'm Alana O'Hearn, and I'm from Richmond. Yeah.
Welcome.
We are Gabrielle and Chad Trexler, and we're from Chesterfield.
Welcome.
Hi, good morning. I'm Andy Fisher, and I've been in Richmond for about 12 years now, so I guess I'm from here.
Awesome. Welcome. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. And now is the time to greet one another. For those attending virtually, you can introduce yourselves to one another in the chat. And those here in the sanctuary, please greet your neighbor.
Good morning. My name is Maggie Waugh, and I'm a worship associate at First UU. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a fair-skinned white woman in my 40s with chin-length dark blonde hair. I am wearing red-rimmed glasses and a cream sweater with pink and brown stripes. The chalice is the vessel, capable of holding all we put into it, capable of holding all that we are and everything we bring with us into this space, this community. The flame is that which arises within and is called from us as a result of gathering in this community. It is the manifestation of our Unitarian Universalist values in the world, a living theology of love, as expressed through justice, equity, generosity, pluralism, interdependence, and transformation.
We are called to worship this morning with words from Sean Parker Dennison, How to Survive the Apocalypse. First, learn to listen, not only for enemies around corners in hidden places, but for faint footsteps of hope and the whisper of resistance. Hone your skills. Aim your heart toward kindness. Stockpile second chances. Under the weight of destruction, we will need the strong shelter of forgiveness and the deeper wells that give the sweet water of welcome. We have a place for you. When the world ends, we must not add destruction to destruction, not accept a beggar's bargain to fight death with more death. In order to survive the apocalypse, any apocalypse at all, we have to give up the counterfeit currency of self-sufficiency, the mistaken addiction to competition, the lie that the last to die has somehow survived. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 159. This is my song.
Nation.
Our opening reading is from a recording of lawyer and activist Valerie Carr speaking on New Year's Eve 2016 at the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. Valerie Carr is a Sikh, S-I-K-H, by religion, and this is her prayer for our country.
But I am leaving my son a world that is more dangerous than the one that I was given. Because we are raising a brown boy in America, a brown boy who may someday wear a turban as part of his faith. And in America today, as we enter an era of enormous rage, as white nationalists hail this moment as their great awakening, as hate acts against Sikhs and our Muslim brothers and sisters are at an all-time high, I know that there will be moments, whether on the streets or in the schoolyard, where my son will be seen as foreign, as suspect, as a terrorist. Just as black bodies are still seen as criminal. Brown bodies are still seen as illegal. Trans bodies are still seen as immoral. Indigenous bodies are still seen as savage. The bodies of women and girls seen as someone else's property. And when we see these bodies not as brothers and sisters, then it becomes easier to bully them, to rape them, to allow policies that neglect them, that incarcerate them, that kill them. Yes, Rabbi. The future is dark. On this New Year's Eve, this watch night, I close my eyes and I see the darkness of my grandfather's cell. And I can feel the spirit of ever-rising optimism in the Sikh tradition, Chardi Kala, within him. And so the mother in me asks, what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America... What if our America is not dead, but a country that is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all of our grandfathers and grandmothers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault? What if they're whispering in our ear today, tonight, you are brave? What if this is our nation's great transition? What does the midwife tell us to do? Breathe. And then, because if we don't push, we will die. If we don't push, our nation will die. Tonight, we will breathe. Tomorrow, we will labor in love, through love, and your revolutionary love is the magic we will show our children. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Is Dorothy Holohan ready to invite our generosity?
My name is Dorothy Holohan. I'm a white woman with gray hair and glasses, wearing a patterned jacket in black, white, and tan with black slacks. The Living Legacy Project is a nonprofit organization committed to a just and equitable world free from racism and other systems of oppression. The Living Legacy Project emboldens people from diverse backgrounds and identities to act by challenging, inspiring, and equipping them for justice work in their communities and beyond. It does this by taking them to places and introducing them to the people who fought nonviolently for equity in the civil rights movement, a trip called the Living Legacy Pilgrimage. In fact, the Living Legacy Project inspired work right here at First UU Richmond with the creation of the Pledge to End Racism and Living the Pledge workshops. And it has inspired justice work all over the country by thousands of individuals who every day lift up stories of courage, nonviolence, equity, and justice. The Living Legacy Pilgrimage is a journey to meet people, hear stories, and visit the sites that changed the world in the civil rights movement. I was fortunate to take the pilgrimage to Birmingham, Montgomery, and Selma this past April, and what an amazing experience. Montgomery was the place of the major bus boycotts and the home of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on the bus. Selma was a major city known for the voting rights activities and protests. We walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the place where thousands demonstrated with Martin Luther King. We heard stories from people who lived through these years. Growing up in a Chicago suburb, all the issues I saw on TV and read in newspapers came alive to me. History came alive. The pain and struggles of that time came alive. The pilgrimage is more than a civil rights history tour. In addition to visiting historic sites, we met veterans, many of them unsung heroes and foot soldiers of the civil rights movement. Additionally, we spent time exploring what today's racism, white privilege, and barriers to equality looks like in the towns we visited and in our hometowns. As a spiritual pilgrimage, we reflected on what we experienced together, so when each returned home, we could apply what we have learned to make a difference in today's world. In 2025, we're witnessing history being intentionally denied, rewritten, twisting it into mythical tales that have no basis in fact. When diversity, equity, and inclusion become code words for racism, bigotry, and exclusion, we have to act. When you donate to the Living Legacy Project, you're doing something tangible to resist the horrific rewriting of history and the blatant attempts to push Black, Indigenous, and people of color out of the jobs, colleges, and lives they fought so hard to attain. Please give what you can to continue our work, and if you haven't already, join us on the bus. It's amazing. Thank you.
The ushers are passing around baskets, and the screen shows other ways to give. All of your contributions will be most gratefully received.
Let us just take a moment. Notice where in your body you are feeling tension. Where in your body you may be feeling relief. And breathe in a way that is comfortable for you. Gathering here in this community, as Don put it, is an act of rebellion. Not just because ours is a progressive church in a progressive faith tradition, but because fear and anger and grief often encourage us to protect ourselves, to close ourselves off, to isolate. Being here with one another is an act of defiance. This is a place where I encourage you, if you feel safe, to let your mind open, to let your heart open. The chalice is a beautiful symbol of our ability to hold everything that we bring into this space. It doesn't mean we agree on everything. But love doesn't require us to agree. We'll take one more minute to simply be, listen to one another breathe, and know that we are not alone. Carolyn McDade was many things, among them an activist, and wrote a song that is very important to Unitarian Universalists everywhere. A song that she wrote when she felt at the end of her rope and asked Spirit to come in. That song is Spirit of Life. number 123. Remain seated and enjoy.
Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving, a choice we make over and over again. Love can be taught, modeled, and practiced. It engages all our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. Revolutionary love is the choice to labor for others, for our opponents, and for ourselves, in order to transform the world all around us. It begins with wonder. You are a part of me I do not yet know. It is not a formal code or prescription, but an orientation to life that is personal and political, sustained by joy. Loving only ourselves is escapism. Loving only our opponents is self-loathing. Together, we make love revolutionary, and revolutionary love can only be practiced in community.
That reading comes from Valerie Kaur's book, See No Stranger. They can't steal my joy. That's the mantra I've been repeating since a recent gathering of religious professionals where our UU minister in Virginia Beach, Reverend Viola Abbott, declared it in glad defiance. They can't steal my joy. Her words rang in my brain and in my bones, and that carried me through January. Y'all get where this is going. Through most of the first 2 weeks of the new administration. And then 2 weeks ago, I took my older boys to see MJ the musical at that beautiful big theater on Monroe Park, and it was great. The kids had a blast, as well you can imagine, and I love theater. And I too admired the talented singers and dancers, the production, the story, and I found myself holding back from the poignancy and the exuberance, and that's not normal for me. I was driving home and I had my hands on the steering wheel, and the world seemed to dim. And the weight of those first 2 weeks, the heaviness of them, came down on me all at once. The fear and the anger and the despair and the violence of so many. My spirit felt like a butterfly pinned to a board. And I realized with horror, they stole my joy. They stole my joy. I took a breath and I clutched the steering wheel. And once that initial moment of shock passed, I began to question my own claim, holding it up against my core beliefs. Is that true? Did they steal my joy? And an answer did come. No one can steal my joy. No one gave me joy. Joy is an expression of love, and love cannot be forced or taken. I had lost my sense of connection to it. I had been overwhelmed by a flood of political actions that were designed to overwhelm, and I had lost my mooring. But no one had taken it. No one can take it. I know that joy is mine to choose, to nourish, and to protect. You hear that shift? Victim empowerment. Okay? There are times when joy comes easy and we love them. And there are times when protecting our connection to joy is an act of fierce defiance. Now, a second perspective shift also came. So I want you to hold that steering wheel with me for a moment in your mind. We're going to come back to that. You got your steering wheel? Okay, good. First, I want to name something. Everything I just said, my beliefs about the nature of joy and of love, and that process of questioning and challenging myself, this is theology. This is theology. And theology has never been more important than it is today in this moment. Stay with me. Stay with me, okay? Theology is a loaded word. And I've heard some folks say that UU doesn't have theology. Today is the day that I am calling baloney. We often don't use the word theology. That doesn't mean we don't do it. We don't use the word theology because it sounds too theistic for many of us who are non-theists, which means we don't believe in God. Okay? Taken literally, yes, theology means talking about God. But our faith tradition, Unitarian Universalism, today does not center deity. Instead, we center love. Thank you. So what if theology for us, for UUs, is not talking about God, but about that which we worship, that which we hold at the center? Love. What if theology is not simply talk, but theology is a practice of infinite play, which we explore and challenge, and most importantly, live relationally through our actions? Unitarian Universalists don't just have theology. We are challenged to live our theology. And our theology is not for the faint of heart. Now, I've heard a criticism here and there of love at the center, that love is too nebulous, too hard to define, too intangible, and open to interpretation to be at the heart of our tradition. So let's do some theological reflection about love. I want you to listen to these questions and statements and really turn them over for yourself. Notice where you experience resistance, where you experience confusion or curiosity, and where you experience resonance or relief. You ready? What is love? What does that word mean to you in your life? Is it roses and Valentines and romantic stuff? Is it family? Is it sentimentality or warm, fuzzy feelings? Is it thoughts and prayers? Is it a practice of gratitude? Is it service or co-liberation? Bell Hooks taught us that love is critical for any social justice movement. And she agreed with M. Scott Peck's definition of love as, quote, the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. I'll say that again. The will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Or is love, as Valerie Kaur put it, quote, a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving. Is love a noun? Or is love a verb, an action? Or maybe both? How is a love-centering theology transformed? Depending on one's understanding of what love is. And I told you earlier that theology has never been more important than it is today, and I mean it. And not just because of the violence and harm being perpetrated and shaped by oppressive theologies. I mean it because if you want to change the world, if you want to actively participate in the healing of what is torn and broken in America today, you must take your own theology seriously. Ruby Sales, that wise leader in the civil rights movement, she talked about the prayers and songs, the religious community and its traditions, these expressions of theology as the armor that her generation wore when they went out to fight for justice. And the theology and the community that lived that theology together, that theology, that armor helped to keep them whole, to keep their spirits intact. But the next generation to take up that fight for justice, and Ruby Sales has been a great teacher to the generations that followed. Many in the next generation had distanced themselves from religion, and Sales worried for them, quote, "We sent our children out into the empire without their armor on." Do you understand what I'm saying? Theology and the community that lives and plays theologically together is the armor that can keep our spirits whole. If you hearken back to our call to worship, the words of Sean Parker Dennison, this is the armor that can help us not just to survive, but to thrive. Even and especially when our beloveds, our families, our neighbors, and ourselves are being threatened or attacked. Even when it feels like apocalypse. Even when it feels like apocalypse. Because here's the thing that I think Valerie Kaur knows, and that Sean Parker Dennison knows, and I want you to know. Apocalypse does not mean the end of the world. That's a more recent simplification of its meaning. Apocalypse means revelation. Apocalypse means that things that were hidden are now uncovered. And that revelation can be frightening and painful. But the thing that has been revealed is not new. It was there all along, yes? Some of us were more aware of it than others. But now it is no longer hidden. It is out in the open, which means that now we can examine it carefully. Now we can plan. Now we can organize, we can put on our armor for the work ahead, which grounds us in our values. Questioning through our every impulse and action, what does it mean in this moment to hold love at the center? Only then can we engage with wisdom rather than simply reacting in the deep work of healing to which I do believe that we are called to bring love from a nebulous, intangible concept to a very tangible presence in the world. Unitarian Universalist theology a theology that centers not deity, but revolutionary love. That's not for the faint of heart. It dares us to respond not with hate when we are faced with hate, but to dig deep into wonder, to remember the inherent worth of every being, even and especially when it is not easy, even when we disagree, even when we are angry or afraid. And harder still, it dares us to love the opponent, even as we struggle and organize against policies and transgressions, to say, you are a part of me I do not yet know. It dares us to honor our anger, to honor it by not letting it turn to hate and to poison, to honor it for that anger is born from a desire to protect that which we love. It dares us to create and protect space for our connection to and expression of joy, just as we create and protect space for our expressions of lament, because both lament and joy are essential expressions of love. And it dares us to be willing to risk our own safety and security and comfort. Because as my seminary wife, Samara Powers, said to me the other day, you are only as safe as the people you are willing to protect. I propose that to live our theology in this way sometimes means risking everything except our spirits. Accept that, because that is what our armor, our theology, protects. Not for the faint of heart. Okay, got your steering wheels. We're going to go back to the steering wheel moment, that car ride where I heard myself saying to myself, they stole my joy. And remember, my first challenge was no one gets to steal my joy. Joy cannot be stolen, nor can it be forced. My connection to joy is not dependent upon any other person nor their actions. But I didn't stop there. I kept going. And I found a second, more challenging, highly inconvenient theological correction. Even using the word they. They stole my joy. Drew a line between myself and them. And that line of separation was born from my own fear and grief and anger, all of which were born from love. Yet that line meant that I stopped seeing them as connected, as part of me. It inhibited love. And that too is part of the challenge of this theology, that even as I resist the harm and the injustice, so too must I resist the impulse toward othering. My resistance comes from love, and I do not want my resistance to become an impediment to love. This theology is hard, and it's how I keep my spirit whole, how I resist sinking into despair or hate. In the beloved community, there is no them. There are no walls or circles dividing us. That is revolutionary love. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal religion, and so as a UU minister, I'm not going to tell you what to believe or what to do. Every person must wrestle with what they believe and how willing they are to live out those beliefs and in what ways. We are not all called to believe the same things, nor to make the same choices. That is the gift of pluralism. Also, I am never going to tell you that everything is going to be okay. But I will tell you this. We will get through this apocalypse, this revelation, and any other apocalypse that comes along. We will get through it together. And if we put on our armor and ground deeply into our beliefs, individually and in community, if we challenge ourselves to an integrity and alignment of belief and action grounded in love, then we will get through this with our spirits intact. And I can think of no better way to close than with the apocalyptic words of Adrienne Marie Brown. Things are not getting worse. They are getting uncovered. We must hold each other tight and continue to pull back the veil. You ready to do this? Then let's do this. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
We have
I hope that a need was fed, that a joy was lifted, that a grief was soothed, that an anger found purpose and purchase. We extinguish this chalice, but carry that fire of purpose forward with us in our hearts, waiting to kindle beyond these walls, beyond this gathering. May you do so bravely, knowing that there is a place for you here to come back and nourish yourself. And don't forget to protect that connection to joy. Our closing hymn is written by the great Shirley Caesar. I invite you to rise in body and spirit and sing with vim and vigor. It's easy to pick up.
It is easy to pick up because it's like this little light of mine. It's like, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Right, it's that, but then we get to the end, it's, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Get it? See, I told you it's easy.